Whole business functionality. And
auto workers filed federal labor charges against Elon Musk and the former president.
Yeah, the union alleged the two attempted to intimidate and threaten workers during their interview on last night. Creates the practice of firing employees who threaten to strike. Former President Trump told Musk, quote, you walk in, you say you want to quit, they go on strike, then that's okay, you're all gone, so every one of you is gone. A federal law protects striking workers from being fired, and the UAW argues it is illegal to threaten to do so. UAW President Sean Fain already announced the union's endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling have both been named in a criminal lawsuit filed in France by the Algerian Olympic boxer Imane Khalif, who recently won gold. So if you'd like a truthful and honest appraisal of what's going on here, please consider subscribing my channel as a fresh alternative to the mainstream media this competition. Now, this is not, I stress, me jumping on any bandwagon and mislabeling, misgendering, or harassing anybody in any way of the sort, but I am going to give a thought as to what I think about how that categorization has taken place. And I'll give you more of my thoughts on that in Black Belt Secrets, my other channel, linked in the description below. And while you're down there, subscribe to my money channel, as I call it, Daniel Shepard, as well. So I'll come back to that in a moment. But very broadly speaking, there's this whole dispute between the IOC and the International Boxing Association. So this controversy already came about with the gender test results ahead of the 2023 World Boxing Championships, which were sanctioned by the International Boxing Association, the IBA. So the WBC and the IBA hereafter. So apparently the IBA carried out these tests and said that the boxer had XY chromosomes, which are ordinarily associated with males. Now this is where the controversy all started. So let's get back to the absolute basics and fundamentals here. Everybody knows that ordinarily those born of female sex are XX chromosomes and those that are born male are XY chromosomes. But because human genetics does not always work perfectly, now I don't profess to be an expert here, there are various syndromes which mean individuals might be born with female reproductive organs but also have X and Y chromosomes present. Swyer syndrome is one such thing. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly because I'm not a doctor. However, certain individuals have these kind of conditions. And just to be clear, from what I read, it's not been verified that this boxer has any recognized syndrome of this sort. However, this is where the controversy began. But reportedly, the IBA said that their tests revealed that this boxer had XY chromosomes. They say that the athlete did not undergo a testosterone examination, but was subject to a separate and recognized test, whereby the specifics remain confidential. The IBA president said, we got the test results that they allowed us to take themselves, and these tests showed that they had a high level of testosterone like a man. Through a translator, he said, a man's level of testosterone. Now, it's worth saying at this point, the IBA was banned from the Olympics because of its political connections. And following all of this, the IOC defended the boxers' eligibility for the competition before the Olympics and said every person has the right to practice sport without discrimination. Now, that, of course, is a true statement. How that is implemented is entirely another matter. Many of you will have two athletes who were the victims of sudden and arbitrary decision by the IBA. They are referring, of course, to Yu Ting, the other boxer that was amid this controversy. And the IOC argued that they were suddenly disqualified without any due process. Now, some people, I'm sure, will dispute that and say that the World Boxing Championships disqualified two boxers that failed the gender eligibility test, despite the IBA that sanctioned those tests being disqualified from the Olympics. But the IOC went on to say Imane was born female, registered female, lived life as female, boxed as a female, and has a female passport. Mark Adams of the IOC said this is not a transgender case. Now, this goes back to the genetics that I mentioned before, but although it's not confirmed whether or not there's any particular syndrome at play here, just that the IOC said this is not a transgender case. Mark Adams continued to say that many women can have testosterone levels which will be called male levels and can still be women and compete as women. Says that the idea that you do one test for testosterone and that sorts everything out, not the case, I'm afraid. And then in a joint public statement by the IOC read as follows. Every person has the right to practice sport without discrimination. All athletes participating in the boxing tournament of the Olympic Games Paris 2024 comply with the competition's eligibility and entry regulations, as well as all applicable medical regulations set by the Paris 2024 boxing unit. As with previous Olympic boxing competitions, the gender and age of the athletes are based on their passport. These rules also apply during the qualification period, including the boxing tournaments of the 2023 European Games, Asian Games, Pan American Games, and Pacific Games, the ad hoc 2023 African qualifying tournament in Dakar, and 2 world qualifying tournaments held in Busto, etc., etc., etc. But the one bit that I might urge you to think about here is where they say, as with previous Olympic boxing competitions, the gender and age of the athletes are based on their passport. But this is where, for me, as a lawyer, the whole argument descends into chaos. And there cannot be, as they've said, one single answer to all of this. No simple answer, they've separately been quoted to say. Now, on the one hand, they say in this statement that, as with previous competitions, the gender and age of the athletes are based on their passport, i.e. it's entirely straightforward. We take their sex based on their passport, and that's it. To talk about. But that argument works both ways, because if there is something else, such as XY chromosomes, such as higher levels of testosterone, and I don't profess to be an expert in any of those things and genetics and whatever, that is best left to scientists and biologists and anyone else that can have any meaningful contribution to this conversation as to whether or not those things really do play a significant part via male, female competitions, etc. What I can say is that the law does permit discrimination if it's for a legitimate aim. For example, taking this outside of the realm of the Olympics for a moment, and I promise you I'll come back to the lawsuit I hood in a moment, but if we take a generic competition, taking it outside of the realms of the Olympics and so on, ordinarily, if you have a competition with a men's category and a women's category, and you have a transgender woman who remains biologically male, it would be legitimate to exclude trans women from the women's category because it is trying to achieve a fair and legitimate aim. Because the officials of the competition might be seeking to address a fairness in the categories and therefore exclude trans women from the female category because it would be unfair to everyone else in that category. That is not me espousing any views and criticism to anybody here, and certainly not to the trans community, but this is a legal fact. It is permitted, certainly within England and Wales, it is permitted within the Equality Act 2010 to have a discrimination if it's to achieve a fair and legitimate purpose. It must be proportionate, it must be fair, it must seek to
that shit ain't fair though. That shit's not fucking fair.
But it can do something which would otherwise be discriminatory.
Bruh, but the thing about this shit, bruh, this motherfucker suing Elon Musk because he said something on Twitter and he was agreeing with somebody else and he said absolutely. Because they said males should not be in female sports. And that's real, bro. Come on, bro. That's this the Tranny that hit that lady in under a minute and made her quit. Buddy a dude, bro. I don't care, bro.
If it's trying to achieve that aim. Let me give you an example. If a company is trying to improve the diversity ratios of its staff, its employees, it may advertise to a particular group of society for recruitment. And if it specifies and targets that group as against another group, some people might think on the face of it that that's discriminatory against the groups that they are not inviting to apply for those roles. However, because they are seeking to address a legitimate misrepresentation or to improve those ratios within their workforce, they are permitted to advertise for those roles to particular groups to improve those ratios. That is permitted under the Equality Act. Similarly, when we're looking at a competition, particularly contact sports, if the organizers of that competition wanted to make it fairer for both men and women, they could exclude trans men or trans women from the respective categories because it is fairer for all concerned. So that is a broad overview of the legal position, but of course that spilled out onto social media as a rather heated debate of this rather divisive issue. So now back to this lawsuit, and is it really going anywhere? Now, if it names Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling and it's a criminally filed complaint in France, now the same arguments would apply as against Elon Musk that I explained in my previous video with the assistance of attorney at law from the United States, Brian Rio. And the short answer is most probably not anything to worry about for Elon Musk, because it would have to amount to a crime in both jurisdictions, both in France and in the US. And whilst I can't speak for French law, I can't really speak for US law, save that I've been given some assistance by a US attorney, and free speech is very strongly protected in the United States. And so as a broad overview for the United States, it's my understanding that cyberbullying is not a uniformly defined offence across the United States. Where those laws do exist, they are carefully balanced against the right to free speech under the First Amendment. And as I mentioned in previous videos, for free speech to be criminalised in the US, it would have to cross the line into clear and imminent threats, direct incitement to violence, and something very narrowly refined as a genuine true threat or obscenity or defamation with actual malice. Whereas Elon Musk's comments, and I'll caveat that up.
Cyberbullying. Cyberbullying. I'm gonna play this information.
Cyberbullying is the worst. It's like a relentless stream of negativity. Plus, it's online and out there forever. What can I do if I'm cyberbullied, or if I see it happening to a friend?
If you have to close down your account for a bit to let it pass, don't retaliate, join in, or respond to cyberbullying. If your friend is being cyberbullied, talk to them about it. You can also add in some positive comments about your friend. Tell their parents so they can handle it too. If it's real bad, take screenshots and save them. Report it to the social media platform and tell your parents what's happening.
Oh shit, I played the wrong one. My bad.
I hate when older people are like, I used to get this shit kicked out when you log off. I'm like, all right, first off, it's hard to log off. It's very addictive. And second off, who would rather be assaulted than psychologically tormented? What would you rather get, a wedgie or catfish? A black guy will heal. You know what won't is taking a Greyhound to Syracuse and being like, I thought you'd be a woman. This sucks. This is the worst 13th birthday ever. I hate when older people are like, a beacon of excellence, resilient. Trump, challenge.
Schools serve as the places where our students learn and grow.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong shit. Damn, bro, that shit that funny. I ain't gonna lie. Buddy look like a dude, bro. Buddy look like a straight dude. Straight nigga. That's a whole dude. Ain't no fucking way, bro. Masculine ass shoulders. You ain't got no titties or nothing, man. But you a nigga, bro. You a nigga, bro. You a whole nigga. I'm sorry, sir. We're not going. We're not going, sir.